Whoa, holy cow, John is actually in his house.
Yeah.
He's not
That's got
just
to
a
be weird.
crazy nomad. I thought you were just a nomad at this point.
I thought I might be. I've learned though that that is not the life. At one point I was like, oh, maybe I'll just travel the world and never have a home. Nope, I don't think so. Not me. Not gonna work.
I don't think people that travel the world can go without having a home. I mean, it'd be a rare and potentially different individual who could literally live without having a home.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like if I mean, I think one of the requirement would be that you're like you have no family, like you're just
Yeah,
like single, and then that would could make more sense. You can stay in hostels and stuff like that too, if you.
right.
But I don't know.
Still, I mean, from a legal perspective, if you didn't have a home somewhere, I mean, you
Then
would,
you're homeless, right?
yeah, you'd be. There's all kinds of interesting problems that could arise from that. I mean, I've known several developers that have done the digital nomad thing where they travel around the world for a couple of years, but they have to have an address somewhere.
Just get a really big PO box that can kind of double as one of those, Japanese style sleeping tubes.
Nice.
Get a just run an extension cord to it. You're all
Go
set.
rent a box at the U store and just live there, you know.
So I've actually got that problem solved. That traveling mailbox that worked out really really well. Well,
Yeah.
in fact, I'm just pretty much getting rid of physical mail. I'm just having it sent there and scanned in, and even with checks, this is the cool thing. So someone sends me a check there.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at the scan on my computer, and then I take a picture of the check with my
Your
phone.
phone
And it deposits it. Yes, it's freaking awesome.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah. At first, I was paying them to send the check to my
Yeah.
bank, and then I was like, "Screw this! I'll just take a picture of it."
Do you not have to
that.
sign the? Do you not have to sign the back?
Apparently not. Like,
Okay. Wow. My bank does require you to sign the back.
well,
I have to solve that problem.
they do if you go in.
Just sign the picture
No,
of the.
I have Ally Bank. They don't have any physical branches.
But what it says you have to sign the back, obviously. Well, okay. So technically, my bank does as well, right? So it's Chase,
Okay.
and they say we may not deposit the funds, or like if it's not endorsed, right?
Okay.
But the key is may not. If it's your check going to your account and it's not some ridiculous amount, and you've like. What's the chances? Like, so worst case scenario, right? I've got to scan. My scans automatically back up to Evernote. If worst case scenario happens and they're like, oh, we didn't deposit these funds because you have to sign the back, then I simply print the copy, sign the back, and take a picture of me signing the back. So.
Yeah.
Well, with my business account, they gave me a stamp that has my account number and business information on it, and that's enough. And there have been a couple of times where I couldn't find it. I take it into the branch at the bank, and they stamp it with the bank stamp and deposit it into my account.
Yeah, it's really not a big deal, like as long as it's legit, right? The only time you'd have a problem is if it's not legit. So I mean, when they're trying to cover their bases, right? They're like they're just making sure that they're not going to be in trouble for in cashing some check that wasn't authorized.
Yeah, and the whole notion of a signature is antiquated anyways. It's
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're one of the last countries, the last industrialized countries that uses signatures to mean anything legal. Most other countries, when it comes to financial stuff, they use PINs. Everything is electronic. You type in your PIN, and it's authenticated that way. I mean, credit cards and payments and everything everywhere. You know, Canada and Europe and all that, they're all PINs. We're just stuck in the backwoods of stupidity here in the U.S.
Yeah. It's transitioning though. We'll be on the PIN system pretty soon here.
No, we'll be on chip and signature.
No, we are on chip and signature now.
Yeah.
And we're converting over, but that's the transition.
PINs aren't going to be for another 5 years at least.
Oh well, we'll see. By then, everyone will be using Apple Pay and
Yeah.
Samsung Pay, so it won't matter.
Chuck,
See?
you have a very large thumb.
That's how I'm gonna sign it in the future. Yeah, with Apple Pay. That's exactly what I was thinking. Was that? Yeah, so
Exactly.
I swipe my phone and then I put my thumb on the thumbprint reader, and it sends the hash up to Apple, and Apple says, yeah, that's close to what we got. So
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. When I was in Iceland, I went to this gym, and they had what do you call the technology that reads
Retina
your
scanner?
Retina
They
scanner.
had retina scanners to get into the gym. That was like crazy.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
Wow.
It's a really annoying technology, actually. It's not very good because you have to be lined up right. Like I'm sure it could be improved upon, but it just requires you to like move your head in the right position. And you think, okay, well that's not a problem, but people are at different heights and stuff, so it's just not a good solution. But
yeah, but the weights were all pure gold, so
yeah, exactly.
they like open a vault door when it.
So yeah, like the 50-pound weight was like the size of a donut.
But yeah, it actually, like, it's so liberating to have to not have a physical mailbox that I have to. I mean, I still have a mailbox, but like to be able to have all your stuff come to like email, it's pretty awesome actually. Like now I don't think I can't go back now. There's no way. Like I don't want to open up mail. Like I just
How much does that
scan
cost
it.
you?
It's like $25 a month. It's like totally reasonable.
Oh dang.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend it. Here's the other benefit of this. Like I'm never gonna get killed by some psycho person from my email list because because I get to put an address at the and be spam compliant, and it's not where I live.
Yeah, that's why I got a box at the UPS store.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't they still ship you your packages? So it goes to that place, and then they forward the packages along?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Packages, I have to put my regular address. But that's fine. Amazon, a disgruntled Amazon employee could come kill me.
Right.
So.
Or some random person.
Or someone from your mailing list could go work for Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your address.
Or write a nasty review on my book and then come and kill me.
Yes.
Yes. Because that guy
Or selling
does work
snake oil.
for Amazon. Yeah. He modified the review and made it worse.
Really? Did you actually get to talk to that guy?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't agree to it. Like he wouldn't agree to a public.
So what you did was you made an enemy, and then you made it an enemy even worse.
Even worse.
Now he's an arch nemesis.
Yes.
Double down.
No, but see, I've extended every courtesy to him, and I've been totally nice in dealing with him. So I think he's gonna be, but it's gonna be difficult for him to like do anything nasty to someone who's been accommodating. So
Yeah.
But I emailed him again.
Paris.
Yeah. I emailed him again, and I was like, if you don't want to do like the public thing, he said he was a little shy or whatever. I was like, okay, I totally understand, not comfortable with that, but let's just talk over Skype. Let's just have a chat because I'm just interested to talk to you. And no, he's looks like he's not answering that email.
This is not boding well for his career.
No,
sounds like he really could benefit from your book and your.
Well, I'm trying to understand. Like, here's the thing too. Like, oh, by the way, the audio version of Soft Skills just came out. Yay!
Nice.
Thanks.
On Audible?
Yep. It's on Audible now. So, so I actually downloaded it and I've been listening to it because I wanted to make sure it came out well. And as I'm listening through it, I'm like, man, did he just skim the book? Because like everything that I'm talking about in the book is like doing things with integrity. Like that's like the whole almost like a recurring theme through the book is like I'm not recommending any shady practices.
He made up his mind 10 pages in, or probably from the cover, and I only saw what he wanted to see.
Yeah. So anyway, it's like I said, it's not a huge deal, but I thought that I thought I would try and get some insight from him and stuff. But now he put like in the review, he's like, one way to judge the quality of a blog is to basically check how many email subscribes they have or in a ratio to blog post. And so he's like, so when I go to Simple Programmer, a pop-up.
Because he's an expert, right?
Yeah. So he's like, there's 5 places that ask for my email address. for one blog post. So that's a 5-to-1 ratio. But if you go to Jeff Atwood's blog, it has one blog post and one little sidebar that asks for my email address. So that's a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's a quality blog.
And that and that sidebar, we know exactly what the conversion rate on that sidebar is too. It's probably around 0.2%.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Jeff has 8 people on his, even though he's like internet famous, he has 8 people on his email list.
Exactly. So I don't know. What can you do when you
The quality of the blog is determined by the marketing approach on the blog. Yeah, that's. I go there just to feel the marketing vibes. I sit back and get marketing raise off of it.
Yeah.
Good marketing raise, good blog. Bad marketing raise. Oh,
Yeah.
man. 2 opt-ins. Oh my gosh. Bad marketing vibe.
Totally.
It's cool though. A couple of people did jump in on that thread, on that review thread, and defend the book. They're like, "Did you actually put any of this stuff into practice?
Did you even read the book? Let's start there."
Anyway, there's always going to be some amount of haters. I mean, I'm pretty happy with the fact that there's like 158 reviews and like 150 of them are 5-star.
If you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. So. But hopefully this audio version of the book will increase. Will get out there. A lot of people who bought the physical version are buying the audio version, which is pretty cool. And I threw in some bonus content, like I went off script and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah. So we'll see. And it's actually turning out pretty good. Like as far as since I fixed that bug I was telling you guys about the email subscribers, I checked my rate, and I'm hitting about like around 100, a little bit over 100 new email subscribers per month that are coming from the book links.
Wow. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And those are like you're tagging all those, right?
Oh yeah.
Those are like those are gold. Those are your best people.
Well, they're going through an email sequence, a very, very long email sequence also that gives them all kinds of additional information and has multiple pitches in there. So.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's new with you guys?
Well, I did a crazy thing.
Yay!
And it surprisingly positive results.
Okay.
So my birthday is Sunday. I'll be 37. So just spur of the moment, I got onto Drip and set up a broadcast to go out this morning, and it went out this morning at 7:20 or 7:30 a.m. or something, to give 37 people a $5 a month subscription to Watch Me Code. That's like ridiculously cheap. I haven't offered that in a year and a half since I first launched it. Regular price is $14. So I set it up. I sent the email. It was a fun-sounding email. It wasn't super serious. It wasn't all sales pitchy. It was just like, hey, it's my birthday. I'm giving you a present. Here you go. But there's only 37 slots available, so you better get in on this. I expected it to sell out over like the next week. Sold all 37 slots within 2 hours.
Nice.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome.
I went back into Drip and I deleted all of my follow-up emails.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't need them anymore. And then I thought, wait a minute.
You need a new follow-up email though.
I need new follow-up emails. So I went back in and created another discount code to give people my standard discounts, which is $9 a month instead of $14 a month. And I emailed my entire list again and said, holy cow, I can't believe how fast this sold out. Sorry if you missed it, but here you go, consolation prize. You can get a subscription for $9 a month, which is a 35% discount off of the regular price. And I've had like 5 or 6 people take me up on that one as well.
Nice.
So I've added a little over 40 subscribers to Watch Me Code this morning.
Cool. What's the net revenue on that then, or the
37
revenue?
times 5 is 185. Plus, I think I've had, let's call it 5. So
Carry the one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, carry the 12.
Is there a niner in there?
Z niner. It's about $225.
Cool.
Awesome.
So that's good.
It's
Now,
like a 10% bump?
Yeah, about that.
a couple of thoughts. One, did you? I mentioned this in the email, but did you make it so I didn't see that the $5 a month is only for a year, or is it a permanent?
No, it's permanent. The discount system in Restrict Content Pro doesn't let me do this discount only lasts for this long. It's forever, or it's a really I need a new subscription system. There are a
you do.
lot of things I really want to do with discounts that RCP can't do, and the reason it can't do them is because it has to conform to the capabilities of the lowest, what is it, lowest common denominator, or whatever the phrase is, which is PayPal.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
PayPal is shit.
Dun 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 dun.
So because PayPal can't do complex discount codes and schemes, then I can't do it at all, even though I'm only using Stripe. I only allow Stripe. I don't let people do PayPal anymore. But because RCP supports PayPal, they can't put in these features that I want for my service.
I was going to say
Really
Stripe actually does those kinds of discounts.
Oh,
and
yeah,
actually set sunsets on them and everything.
I love Stripe. Stripe is amazing about doing that kind of stuff. But RCP is limited to what PayPal can do.
So does RCP just set up the Stripe transactions, though?
No, it'll set up the discount code and
Okay.
the actual subscription plan. It does everything. I connected my Stripe account into my RCP installation, and it makes all of the API calls for me to do everything in Stripe for me.
Okay. Huh. Wonder if there's a way. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of recording a screencast series on building a media service for Watch Me Code, which I think I talked about this last week. And at this point, I'm convinced that once I'm done with this series, I'm going to move on to the next logical step, which is going to be something along the lines of me creating my own subscription service, not using WordPress, not using RCP. It's not that RCP is bad, it just has limitations that I don't want to live with anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not that, well, it's not that I expect to just instantly jump off of RCP either. You know, I want to build a system that will solve all of the things that I need it to solve and handle it in a way that can hopefully still integrate into WordPress somehow, because I still like having blog posts and everything else done in WordPress. It's easy. I like having easy digital downloads, for example, as a way to fill bundles. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. And overall, I really like RCP as well. It's just the limitations that are imposed on it by having to deal with PayPal as one of its payment options are getting frustrating.
Could you? They have a marketplace, don't they?
Yep.
What if you hired another developer to build a plugin?
Yeah.
You need to do.
Yeah.
And I guess that might, because if you could put it in the marketplace and sell it, you're not the only one, I'm sure, who
True.
wants this. So you could turn this into another little product, and you wouldn't have to market it, because if they've got their own marketplace,
right,
might be worth thinking about.
That's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. And that would solve a lot of my problems and do it a lot easier.
Yeah, and you could. I mean, we probably could find some PHP developers who aren't.
Oh, I know some phenomenal WordPress developers that are heavily involved in the community.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's not a question of finding someone that can do it for me. It's a question of planning it and budgeting for it.
It's not a bad idea. It also gives you another business model too. Like once you've been able to do that, then you can repeat the process in other markets and other.
Right.
Yeah, that solves it in a way that's reusable for other people too.
Yeah, which I really like. I could make the upfront investment to fix Watch Me Code, but then have it as something I could sell to get additional revenue with.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. But yeah, the sale went crazy bananas.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I went from 330 subscribers. I'm at 372 right now, and about half a dozen of those are people that signed up again, having previously canceled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this kind of reinforces just how difficult one of your major problems is the urgency thing.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I have a solution for that.
Okay.
Which is raise prices.
I've been thinking about that.
If you raise prices, you have a non-manufactured urgency. I mean, you could basically say, look,
well,
you have
it one time.
yeah, this is it, because prices are going up and they're not coming back down. So if you want to subscribe, you can get in for lifetime now for X dollars a month before they go up to this X dollars a month, and I think that would be a good one. And then you can keep doing that as long as you just make your price rises slow. So every year raise your price, but only make it a small amount so that you can keep on having that kind of sale and get that
8
scarcity.
cents.
Yeah.
That's right. 10 cents. You're gonna pay $15.09.
That's like my kids, right? They just make up numbers.
Yes. Like my 5-year-old daughter comes to me with a handful of coins. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy! I've got 7 monies. I want to go buy a toy.
Yep.
Yes, sweetie, you have 7 pennies. That's nice.
My kids
Give them
do
to John, and
chores.
John will throw them away.
Yeah.
Chores, and they get commissions on their chores, and then they know how much they need to get that toy they want.
Yep.
And they just they're all over it.
Yeah, I'm sure my daughter will be once she gets a little bit older.
Yeah.
My wife has somehow magically, like, mysteriously hypnotized the kids and convinced them that it's enjoyable to do chores around the house.
Wow.
I know little kids like to help.
Okay, she is a psychologist, so
screw all this, watch me code thing. Just bottle that,
Exactly.
or productize that, man.
Exactly.
Exploitation as a service.
Yes. But like there have been times in recent months where the threat of punishment for not eating a good dinner or not cleaning up or whatever was not being able to clean the toilet.
Holy cow!
I am dead serious. Who wants to come brush the toilet with me? Because it's this scrubby thing that turns the water blue, and you get to splash it around a little bit. This
is like the Tom Sawyer. Have you guys read Tom Sawyer?
I don't know
where he gets all the other kids to pay him to
pay exactly. It's like that, only like plus.
Exactly. I know it's not going to last forever. I think my son's growing out of it already at 8 years old, but
I know how to make this to use this then.
Okay.
So what we need to do is make it fun to check out to spend your money. Like those coin drop things where you drop the coin and it spins around?
Yeah.
You need that in your checkout process. So that's like
totally.
Every month.
Gamify the checkout process.
Yeah, no more subscription for Watch Me Code. Every month you have to manually pay, but you get you spin the wheel
to see how much you're going to pay.
Exactly.
And the more, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's good. Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about with the with your sale, with your discount, is that you might have driven the price anchoring the opposite direction.
Yeah, I totally did, which I know is a bad thing. It was, like I said, it was a spur of the moment thing. It was kind of an experiment. I wanted to see if it would even work. I wanted to, we'd been talking about me doing one-time, one-year things for a while now, and I wanted to do something, and it popped into my head, so I ran with it. And it probably was a mistake, at least short term, but it worked out. It told me a number of things. It told me there are people that really do want this stuff. I had several people email me and say, "Hey, I had been looking at your stuff and had never really wanted to subscribe because I don't do JavaScript very often, but for that price, I can't pass it up." There was somebody that emailed me and said, "Hey, I don't even do JavaScript anymore, but I love your blog posts, and I just wanted to support you."
So here's an idea, because so there, I mean, it might have hurt you for the long term for like your regular pricing, but how fast did you sell those out? You sold those out
2 hours.
Do you know how many people actually like tried to use the code but it was already used up, or any idea of that?
I don't know exactly. Again, RCP doesn't keep track of that kind of stuff.
I guess Google Analytics, possibly you could see who clicked the link.
Yeah, I can see that through Drip, which is what I'm going to go look at right now.
Because here's one other possible thing to think about, which I don't know about this, but depending on how big your list is and how many people, if you reduce your price to $5 a month, would you get so many more subscribers that it would be potentially worth it? Like, because I mean, the fact that it sold out that quickly by just changing the price.
Yeah.
Is that, again, I'm not suggesting that this may be true, but it's another question to answer. Is if there's a good way to figure out the answer to that question, that would be, and is there a way? It also opens up the door to, is there a way you can kind of sneak people in the back door for $5 a month without telling everyone? Because would you take as many subscribers as you could at that price? Probably, right? So you would never turn someone down at that price unless they were going to buy it. You wouldn't cannibalize your own market. But what I'm saying is, could you open up more ways for people to get in at that price, or could you have some kind of an email sequence where you pitch, and like your third offer in your pitch, like after some period of time, it's like, look, I realize that that you might not be able to afford blah blah blah, whatever, or maybe you don't use JavaScript that much, and so it's not really worth it, even though you can afford it, blah blah blah. But here's the thing: I'm gonna just send you one more chance to get in here. This is my best offer, $5 a month, and so that you're you see what I'm saying? This might open up that door for you where you can pick up more people. I'm not sure.
I like the idea. The backdooring thing is kind of difficult. I can't have. I can do a discount code basically to make that possible, but what you just said is something that I could easily do in the best of email sequence and pitches that I want to set up, which I didn't get a chance to start again this week. I've been busy with other things. Trying to record screencasts and whatnot, but once I get that email sequence set up with my best of blog posts and videos and pitching Watch Me Code in there, that's definitely something I could do. I could have that set up so 3 months later, after I've pitched you a number of times, I'll repitch you again for $9 a month or $14 a month or whatever, and then whittle it down to the last $5 a month at that point. It's an interesting idea. I mean, like you said, I don't want to cannibalize the market, but
yeah. The other thing that might work for you, again, I'm just spitballing some ideas here, but based on this experiment, is a name your price, because the thing that makes me think that might work with your audience is because multiple times I've heard you mention, and you mentioned it today, that someone said, "Oh, I just wanted to help you out."
Yeah.
So I bought or I saw in your email that I bought the package.
Right.
So you might have kind of the relationship with your audience where they're where you might have some benefactors that are like, "Oh yeah, I'll pay X dollars a month," and if you kind of can make a sliding scale where you're kind of maybe the low end of the scale is $5 a month, or
well, for something like that, I think a site like Patreon would be a little bit better, which I know several bloggers that have a Patreon account set up, and I set one up recently, but I haven't posted it anywhere. I need to, make my page look a little nicer on their site. But that would certainly be something to give the I just want to support you people an opportunity to do that.
You mean put that on your blog?
Yeah, because there's an odd psychology here where if somebody wants to support me and they pay that $5 a month for Watch Me Code, at some point they're going to think, well, why am I paying $5 a month for Watch Me Code? I never watch these. I'm going to go cancel it. Versus if somebody's paying me $5 a month just to support me on Patreon, they're like, oh, there's my monthly, help for Derek just to help him keep going. There's a psychological difference in I'm giving you this money because I want to support you versus, oh, I'm paying for a service that I'm not using. And the willingness to cancel a service you're not using is far higher. The impetus to cancel that service that you're not using is far higher than it is for I'm supporting you because I like what you do and I want to help. So I think I'd rather go down the Patreon path if I want to do something like that, which I sort of started doing already. I just need to finish it.
Yeah, that's another. That could be a totally different model where you're like producing everything for free,
right?
And then you're like,
which is what Kyle Simpson is doing now. If you hit blog.getify.com, he's got his Patreon up in the top right corner, and he is almost entirely supported by, or was for a little while, almost entirely supported by a Patreon. He has an actual job with an education company. I can't remember who now, but he still makes quite a bit off of his Patreon account, and all of his Patreon stuff is set up with different levels. If I earn this much a month, I'll do these things. If I earn this much a month, I'll do these things.
Oh, I see.
So he's got he's making $1,000 a month on his Patreon right now.
I've heard it pronounced Patreon, but I don't know.
Patreon, whatever.
Anyway, I'm just saying if people have heard of it other places, they can make the connection. But my understanding is it was originally put out there for like musicians and stuff.
Yeah.
And so when they release a new song, then their fans would effectively then pony up some money.
Right. And one of the first time I heard of it was a year or two ago. One of my favorite sci-fi authors, William Hertling. He's got an account on there, and he's got it set up so that if you donate $1 a month, you get to be on his newsletter.
Yeah.
You donate $5 a month, you get pre-release copies of whatever to review. You donate $10 a month, and he'll ask for ideas up front. There's all these different levels and levels of involvement that you get with the books that he writes through his account. And through how much you're donating.
The only thing that I'm a little bit cautious about with I've got Patreon set up also for Get Up and Code, and so it's like it's generating a little bit there. But I hate the idea of having like a large amount of your business or money in a third-party system that could be like, oh, we don't like. One of your Watch Me Code videos was sexist to gender inequality for penguins. So we're gonna like freeze your money for this month because penguins with erectile dysfunction matter.
There's the title for this week's show. Penguins with erectile dysfunction.
So
I get your point.
They could totally like screw you.
Yeah.
And then you have
I wouldn't want this to be like a significant source of income or a major deal for me. I do know a few people whose primary source of income is through their Patreon account, but that's not what I want to do. That's not the approach that I want my business to take. I'm just kind of thinking of it as an option. Back when I was running Marionette.js, I had several different donate buttons on the GitHub page. I had a PayPal donate and a Dwala and a couple of other things on there. The GitF one as well. And people would throw $5 or $10 at me several times a week.
Yeah.
And every now and then, a couple times a month, people would give me $50, $100.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had somebody give me like $150 once through the PayPal donate button. Back when the GitHub, I guess it's called GratiPay now. Back when I was doing that, I was bringing in, I think like $15 or $20 a week on GratiPay, and that wasn't ever asking. I just had the little link in the GitHub README, and people were donating through there, and that at one point I had like $600 in there, so I connected my bank account and pulled all the money out and went and bought myself something nice.
What about the opposite? What about instead of crowdsourcing patronage, how about like going the old school model, like and finding like a king or something, like painters used to do, like Da Vinci, like
right.
maybe we should start
old school. You meant old school.
Yeah, like Middle Ages, like medieval. Like let's go find some, like let's send some emails to like get a list of millionaires and billionaires and be like, hey, would you like to sponsor my Watch Me Code videos?
Go back to the true definition of patron.
Yeah, find some patrons that are like, instead of finding like a bunch of people that will give you $5 a month, find like 3 people that will give you like 10 grand a month.
Yeah,
Ho ho, Mr. Obama, will you please be the patron? Will you make the U.S. government the patron of my? I mean, it'd barely be a blip on the budget, right?
Yeah, totally.
Until Carly comes in there and shuts you down.
That's right.
So yeah, that's about it for me. I had another crazy short week again. I took my son to Fort Worth on Sunday. We stayed overnight there, and then Monday was an all-day affair to get an MRI done, which I don't expect there to be any significant results in the MRI. It's a once-a-year follow-up thing that we've done. It's pretty awful getting MRIs done on him, though, because invariably he throws up afterwards. Like every single time. We've done this 5 or 6 times, and he's thrown up all over the place afterwards. First few times he threw up in the bed that he was sleeping in when he was coming out of the anesthesia. And then the last couple of times they've given him anti-nausea medicine, including steroids, to try and get him back to full alertness and all that. And he throws up on the way home in the car, which is just nasty. So Monday, driving home, we got about 20 minutes away from the hospital, and he barfs all over himself. So I had to wipe him up, and then hour-and-a-half drive home, we get 50 feet away from the driveway.
Oh, I hate that. That's the worst.
And he barfs all over himself again. I mean, I was making the last turn onto my street. There's
every
the
time.
house.
Yep.
All over himself. So yeah, there's that. And then next week, Wednesday, I got to go back up there again to start some appointments with genetics people up there. This is getting kind of old, kind of fast. I feel like I should just move to Fort Worth. But otherwise, in other news, yeah, that's about it for me. I'm still managing to stay afloat, managing to get a little bit of work done for my client when I can, taking care of my son. That's it. What about John? What have you been doing?
Well, I just got back, so so
Whole
not
lot of
all.
nothing.
Yeah. Well, what I'm doing now is the big thing is sort of planning at this point, right? Trying to figure out what I'm going to be working on next, and then I need a routine again. That was the biggest thing with. I mean, I did pretty good. Like I hit the gym pretty much. I pretty much didn't skip a beat on hitting the gym or running the whole 3 months I was there.
Hmm.
So that I was pretty happy about that. But I need a real routine now, especially getting into working again. And I got to clean up stuff, figure out what projects I'm working on. I think the big project that I'm planning out now is, I talked about this before, but creating a forums, a community, like a monthly subscription type of thing. And I think I'm going to go the premium route with it. I'm thinking that I might charge somewhere around $50 a month, either $30 or $50 a month, because what I want in there is people who are serious about helping each other with the career. Like, so here's my thinking with this. So if I charge like $10 a month, yeah, I'll get a bunch of people to sign up, but they'll be signing up because they'll be getting they'll be expecting value from me, not necessarily from the community, because I think that would be the. But if I charge $50 a month, I'll get people. I can then say, like, this is premium. These are people who are high caliber that are signing up, that are serious about building blogs and expanding their blogging and their career and working. It almost becomes more of a mastermind group. And a lot of people have been asking me for mastermind groups. So this would be sort of, I think, less signups, higher price, more helping each other, less relying on me being the one to foster the community there, and so be less like more hands off for me, and I don't know. And my big value is bringing the right people together. It's like, where else are you going to find software developers that are serious about creating a blog and growing their marketing? Like, this is a place where all of you can connect.
Hmm.
Thoughts on that? Does that seem like a?
Mm-hmm.
I'll defer to Chuck, since Chuck has built communities like that.
I mean, the real trick is, I like the vision, I like the idea. I've seen some things that work that way, but they're usually. It sounds like you're kind of bridging the gap between your regular participation community and a mastermind. You're kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I really haven't seen. So the closest I've seen are mastermind groups that are kind of all headed up by one person, and then they have that collaboration community behind the scenes. So so you're a member of your little mastermind group that has between 4 and 10 people in it, and then you're part of the community that's made up of all 5 groups or whatever. So there are 50 or so people in there that you also interact with. I've never seen it without the mastermind groups, so I'd be interested to see how it works, but I don't know how you target those people, or whether or not you're going to be able to find those right people. I'm sure they're out there, I just don't know where they are. But yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. I think it's definitely worth pursuing. But it's the marketing and targeting. I just don't know. I don't know how you get in front of those folks and then articulate to them the value in it.
Well, so that part I have nailed down, because a majority of the people that are on my email list sign up through my blogging course.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty much like the exact people, right? If you completed the blogging course, like, you want to learn how to increase your blog, like talk to other software developers who are blogging. Like, this is the big request that I'm getting. So these are the people who want to build businesses from their blog and make money. And so I think that's where it's like, okay, that's a large portion of my audience on my mailing list. So I think I should be able to get them there, and it makes sense. And I think it's a value. Like, I mean, if you can pay $50 a month and then get access to other people who are, it's not just like you're getting to talk to them, you're also getting them to share your blog posts, and like you're working together to like,
right.
You're stronger together. So that's kind of the hope there for that to. And if it doesn't work out, then I could always drop down and go to $10 a month, and it's more open. But I wanted to make it a little bit more exclusive at first with the higher price tier.
Yeah, one other thing that I'm going to put out there, because you have kind of this, how do I put it? You have a specific targeted outcome that you want.
Mhm.
You may want to give them a little bit of a script. So when they come in, it's like, okay, when you come in, make sure that, and you can even put a thread on your community, right, that says introductions, and then they come in and you're like, put up a link to your blog, tell us what you do, or what your blog is about, tell us kind of what you do for a living, and then tell us what other things you're good at that aren't really articulated in the what my blog is about and what I'm good at doing, so that we can kind of get an idea of, so their blog may be about macrame, and they may be a developer for work, and what they're really good at is coming up with systems and identifying the right audience or the right social media to share, or they're good at writing concise tweets, or things like that. And that way other people who are struggling with that area can immediately go read the introduction and say, I'm also into macrame, I'd like to connect. Or they may say, I'm also a software developer and I like macrame.
Is
my
macrame
blog is on...
like a programming language that I don't know about? Or
I just totally pulled that out of the air. I'm not even sure what it is, but
Oh, okay.
It sounds like an open source project.
Yeah.
I think it's some kind of like craft thing or something.
No, I know exactly what it is. It's like making stuff out of yarn and rope and tying knots. It was popular in like the 70s.
Right. But I'm just throwing it out there as kind of a thing that somebody get passionate about. But yeah, so then people can identify, you can help me with this stuff, and I am connected with people who are interested in what you do, and so I can help build your audience, and you can help me, do better at blogging or whatever.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then give them the script for, here's how you ask for a share. Here's how you make it so that people are going to want to share, and things like that. And that way, you can kind of give people guidelines for, if you're sharing a lot of other people's posts, then they're going to want to share yours, and just that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's totally a good idea. Yeah, I definitely want to put together like a onboarding type of script for the forum. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm going to be working on. I've got a lot of like cleanup tasks that I'd like to do, and I'm going to do a few of those. But I think that's going to be kind of the main thing, because that will generate extra revenue, which would probably help me to hire another person to be able to do more stuff and make things smoother. But
the other thing that
John,
occurs to me too is that from that introduction thread, for example, show people how to fork the thread, so that they can then create the other thread that is, you said you're really good at crafting tweets, and so I fork it and I say, I'm really bad at crafting tweets. How do I make, for example, a good tweet for this post?
Yeah, okay.
John, one thing I'd recommend would be to look at, it might actually be worth paying for you to, for a few months to go through the copychief.com funnel.
Copy Chief, okay.
Yeah, this is the only paid forum that I've seen that, I'm sure there's others out there that work, but this is the only one that I've seen that really works. And it's a guy named Kevin Rogers, and he's a copywriter, and I think it's $67 a month right now, and he's planning to bump the price to $97 a month.
Yeah, okay.
And it'll give you an idea. Like, he's done a really good job. There's a lot of action in the forum. It is, I don't know how many members there are. I'm gonna guess there's probably like 200 to 300.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, because there's like, you can see when you I have the Tap-a-Talk app on my phone that you can access the forum through that, and you can see how many people are following the forum, and it's like 167 right now or something like that. So, not everybody's using that app, so kind of gives you at least a ballpark. But he really is putting, it's a lot. It seems like from the outside it looks like an awful lot of work. He's actually got multiple full-time people working with him. He's got a full-time person that he's got couple full-time people that their job is basically going around and commenting on stuff and creating discussion and keeping things lively.
Yeah.
He's in the forum every day, multiple times. One thing he does is really good is he'll post he does these videos where he's just driving to work and he's like has his phone on the dashboard and he just like does a little 5-minute monologue.
Okay.
So he does some multitasking, but then he's got like he does like a weekly 1-hour webcast that you can watch live or get the recording of that. And then he also does a really good job with his emails of he pitches you, so he sends the email. He markets the forum continuously to you, even if you're already a member.
So that you stay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see he'll have like these threads where he writes, he'll write up an email about a specific thread, and then if you're not in the forum, you have to subscribe to see the result. And then if you are, he'll send you the link, and then you can join in the discussion. And so it like keeps some of the best threads, that it keeps bringing them back to the top. He's done a really, really good job with it, but it does. I would go into it expecting that it's probably going to be a significant investment. It's not. It doesn't seem like it's passive by any means.
Yeah. I'll have to
make it work. Yeah.
Okay, because I want to make it as passive as I could, but
yeah.
I guess I'll have to see how it ends up working out.
Yeah, I mean, just based on, I wouldn't be surprised if he spends at least a couple of hours a day on just interacting with people on the forums, and he chimes in on a majority of the threads.
The question is, though, does he have to? Like, would it work without doing that?
Yeah,
or is the community itself strong enough to?
Well, the full-time people that he has help with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. There's probably 10 to 15 members who are really, really strong contributors.
I see. Okay.
And then, everybody else, including me, like we'll kind of jump in once in a while. But there's like probably about 10 people that are like the core of it, and 1 or 2 of those are paid.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, you might be able to. You might be able to experiment with try it as a beta, try some kind of paid Facebook group, or try a paid Google group or something, instead of like going. I'd hate to see you go through all the effort to put up a huge forum system and then have it not work.
Yeah, well, you can use Discourse really easily. Like you can get that set up.
Okay.
Discourse, they offer a hosted option too, where it's like $100 a month or so, I think.
Yeah, pretty much most of the people that are, aside from this one copy chief, most of the people that I've seen doing paid, membership groups, they're doing them on Facebook now, and the people that aren't doing that are moving them to Facebook.
That's interesting. I don't know if I'd want it on the Facebook platform though. Like,
the thing is that you get the stickiness that way because people are already on Facebook.
Yep.
And so the notification pops up, versus like them having to go to your website all the time, which, a majority of people won't do.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've talked to or followed are doing that too, and they create a private group on Facebook so nobody can find it unless they get directly invited to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely make sure you've got all those people on your mailing list.
But you're not going to have threads and stuff. I mean, you're not going to have
No, it sucks. It's terrible. I'm telling you, it's terrible, but it works. I mean, there's a lot, the discussions, they're very active.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I'll have to
I
look at
agree.
that.
Like from a user perspective, I hate them, but they work, and a lot of people are doing them.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to look at that then, because I haven't looked at it enough yet, but anyway, that's kind of part of the plan, is to just start thinking about this more and come up with a really good plan on how to do this and see, because I know I've got to do something in this space, because people have been asking for it. In fact, just today I got a tweet from someone that was like, hey, if you do any kind of mentoring or offer anything to do, like mentoring on the blogging, I would totally pay for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
another option would be some kind of group coaching program, where you could get some scale, so you're not doing like the one-on-one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I kind of still wanted to make it, try to build more of things that don't require me as much, but
Yeah.
and I know that the forum, but I think I can do a forum in a way that it's well, and remember, like, I'm moving the site Simple Programmer to be less about me. I have all the guest posts on there now,
Yeah.
so it's
Right.
really becoming the community thing. So
Um,
I do think I will have to hire some people to run a forum to
yeah.
as it grows, but.
Yeah, I can't honestly, like, I haven't participated in a ton of forums, but the ones that I have participated in, even when they got big, like it seemed like the founders were still really involved, and like that was kind of what was driving the growth.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I'm not afraid to fail. So, but yeah, that's really the big thing. When I got back, whoa, is everyone gone?
Well, yeah, Chuck and Derek are both, and we just
That's
see empty
funny.
chairs.
That's funny. But yeah, and it may be that I need to do like the $10 a month pricing and not. I don't know. I guess I gotta see. I gotta think about it some more. Look at some options and
Yeah.
try it out. What I figured is that if you go to the premium type of pricing, like the $50 a month range, you can always reboot and come down and say, I'm opening it up to more people, I'm making it more
Yeah.
affordable, I'm doing $10 a month. But if you do $10 a month, it's much harder to say, hey, now the price is going up to $50 a month.
Well, you could open a new tier though.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know, people really don't. Then you definitely have to be providing more value in that new tier, like, so then
Yeah.
you have to be having unique content and stuff. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I got to figure that out, come up with a good plan. I think that'll be my big project for the next few months, yeah, before I travel again. Yeah.
What do you think is the ideal, like, so between the 3 month and the 2 month, what do you think is the ideal travel length for you now?
I think 2 months is probably better than 3. Like, I think 3 is
Too
a
much.
little bit too much. Yeah. Maybe if you like stayed in one spot for 3 months, then it might be so you got a little bit more established.
Hmm.
Then that might be okay because then you're just like put down in one spot. But living out of one backpack for 3 months is definitely challenging. You know what's funny though? As soon as I got home, okay, I'll have to you can see around my office. There's nothing here. It's all
Yeah.
gone. I got rid of it. That chest is empty. My drawers are like empty. My closet is empty. I got rid of like everything that I do not need.
Nice.
So I'm purging stuff because after living out of a backpack for 3 months, I'm like, man, I do not need all this stuff. And so like cables gone, like all this stuff that I was holding on to, like no, I'm going down to the bare minimum. So now I'm more minimalist than ever before. Like I literally have I could count the number of things that I own basically at this point. So
Nice.
yep. No, the rest of my family still owns stuff, but yeah. But yeah, I think 2 months is probably more of an ideal time frame. The biggest problem is like not having the routine too. Like I need to get back into a routine and start, so I can keep making forward progress.
Yeah. What's that going to look like now because you've gotten rid of some of the stuff that you were doing, right? Or
yeah, I mean, right now, I don't know. Like, I'm still producing one blog post a week myself.
Mm-hmm.
That may change to once a month eventually. I've still got YouTube videos 3 a week that are coming out, but I'm batching them up. So I shoot once every 2 months. I'll be shooting next week. And then Trying to think what else. I mean, email, but I've got help with that. It's still email is still a chore, but I'm thinking about one of the procedures. In fact, I got to write that down. Is setting up some kind of I've been trying to solve this email problem for a long time, and I think this is the solution. The solution is to time box it, and I'm going to start with an hour a day and make it a strict time. Start a timer. I have 1 hour. Go. I'm spending that doing email, and I can't go over it. And so that forced time constraint, I think, is going to force me to either say, okay, I'm deleting these emails. I'm not answering them, or I'm moving them into tasks that will actually be real tasks, like if they're things, or I'm getting some more help to automate answering some of these emails. And then I want to move that window down. Ideally, I think I want to be at the spot where I'm spending 30 to 45 minutes max in email per day. So that's one of the process I'm going to put in place is figure out, like, definitely nail that down. And I think it's totally doable because I end up spending like 2 hours in email, and that's just even though I've got someone answering emails for me too. So that just ends up being ridiculous. So that has to be taken care of. But I think that's so really my schedule is pretty clear because if you think about it, I've been working basically on stuff besides email one day a week for the last 3 months. So I have plenty of time to work on new projects and stuff. So that's I think that's it for me. I've got interviews scheduled. I've got Dan Martell because he's launching his product. I'm doing that tomorrow morning, and then that should be a good one. I'm trying to get advertisers on Simple Programmer. I need to get more advertisers because I'm not really maximizing that. But
that reminds me of a very kind of interesting success that Josh might be able to chime in on as well. But Josh came to me and said, hey, I've got this mailing list and website, and would you like to help me find us an advertiser? And I was kind of like, well, gee, I don't know if I can. Well, the first person I talked to about it just lined up.
Nice.
And I didn't even have to pitch him very hard. Yeah, he looked at it and he's like, it's a little more than I was planning to spend this month on advertising. He's like, but I know I'll get the money back. Like, he went and looked at the site and immediately, I know I'll get the money back. And Josh pointed out to me that I know a lot of people in this space that will buy advertising space in these different things. So I'm seriously considering pivoting a little bit or a lot and basically seeing about becoming an agent sort of
media broker
or a broker. Yeah, that's a good term for it. But basically help blogs and podcasts in the programming space find advertisers who want to utilize that space to get customers.
Yeah, I'll sign up. Find me. You can totally find me. If you find me sponsors, like, I'll totally give you a cut for sure. Like, and I've got I've got a time problem, and they're not like.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the connections. You've got so it doesn't take you a lot of time. So I've been working on other stuff, but I mean, there's like Get Up and Code doesn't have a sponsor. Simple Programmer Podcast doesn't have a sponsor, and that should be a friggin' slam dunk to get one there. And even just advertising on Simple Programmer, I think is missing. So if you're interested,
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what that offering looks like, but I think if I work through this a few times with a couple of different websites, podcasts, etc., mailing lists, then I can get an idea of what's going on. The only part of this that kind of makes me a little bit concerned is I'm trying to decide now, because the way that I do sponsorships on devchat.tv is I just do a quarterly sponsorship.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the time constraint makes sense, or if I might be able to serve more people, serving more content, if I go by like number of impressions and stuff. The issue becomes, though, is if I don't sell all of the impressions that I have in the inventory, then I don't want to roll back into like Google Ads and stuff, because I'm just not a huge fan, right? And I don't want people feeling like I'm putting garbage on their site because nobody's bought that space.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some thinking there. For the most part, though, like Simple Programmer is high enough traffic to where I can probably just sell a sponsorship on it. Sublime Text Tips, same deal. Anything on devchat.tv is kind of the same way. There's enough pull, enough traffic there to make that worth it. So I may just go for higher traffic opportunities.
Yeah.
And then if I get enough lower traffic opportunities, I may just bunch them together and say, look, you can get exposure across these 5 properties at this one price.
Yeah.
And that's this many impressions.
That makes sense to me. That's less overhead.
And the other thing is then I don't have to do. I still want to be able to do some kind of tracking. That's the other thing I need to figure out. But for the most part, most of these folks are set up to do their own tracking and figure out if the campaign is actually paying off for them or not. So
yeah.
The thing is I'd like to have the numbers so that I can just put it on my website and say, look, we had such and such company, widgetsrus.com advertise on Simple Programmer, and they got this many clicks and this this kind of conversion rate, and blah 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 blah. So if you're similar to Widgets R Us, or you appeal to the same audience at Simple Programmer, you're probably going to have a similar similar conversion numbers. So.
Yeah, no, I totally think you should do it. It makes perfect sense. And like I said, like there's a lot of people I'm sure that are like me, that it's like, well, I could spend time trying to hunt down advertisers, and I know I could get advertisers, but I'd rather I like it's not a priority or something that I enjoy doing, so I'm going to do.
Well, it's totally worth it to you to give up 30 or 40% to not have to think about it.
Right, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's space that you're not gonna fill on your own anyway, because you're not willing to spend the time.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. Plus, we're dealing with you. You're a known quantity for the advertisers, so
that's true.
So you're not. It's like having 100 developers starting from scratch.
Yep.
Versus just working with you.
Yeah, and what I may do with all of my advertisers is or all the advertisers that I've worked with over the last 5 years, just go to them and say, look, I'm starting to do this kind, if you just want me to talk to you about the devchat.tv stuff, then that's what I'll do. But if you're interested in other opportunities, I'm starting to have them come my way.
Yeah.
And so then you can kind of be on my list, for interesting opportunities. And I'll weed them out so that you don't have just everybody and their dog coming to you. It's all going to be focused around programmers and programming.
What's awesome about that too is that you can rotate people through, because like let's say that I'm advertising with you on your podcast, one of your podcasts, for a quarter. Well, after a quarter I've hit a lot of your audience. Maybe I advertise for 2 quarters, but at that point, like, my return is not as high because I've already been in these people's ears for there's obviously new people. But if you can then kick me over and say, okay, now here you can jump over to this blog or this podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in 1 year's time, like you rotate them through like 5 or 6 different. Now they're hitting all these different audiences. Then they come back to you and they come back on your podcast because now
they get all the new people. Yeah.
Exactly. And so now you're keeping them in your whole circle. So now you're actually getting a benefit from it. Whereas otherwise, advertisers, you got to remember to talk to them in a year, and they've got some other thing that they're doing whereas this will keep them, and you're still making money from those relationships, which costs you so much of investment to establish in the first place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and yeah, I really like that idea. And the other thing that's great about it is that everybody involved is making money, right?
Yeah.
Because the content producer is making money. I'm making money because I have the contacts and I'm spending the time talking to them. And the companies that I'm talking to are making money because they're selling product to whoever is, paying attention to the content producer. So, yeah, I really like it. I just need to figure out what it looks like. The other thing is that I want to figure out how to make the ads so that they don't suck, which generally I think I do okay at. I could do better at. But the other area is figuring out in some cases how to put them up so that they don't get blocked by ad blockers and things like that. In other words, I want to be a good internet citizen so that they don't get blocked, and they shouldn't get blocked because we're not doing because most of the ad blockers, it's either because they're flashing at you or they're really obnoxious or they're doing some kind of tracking, and so you just block them, you just shut them down. And so if we're just collecting information like you collect off of any web request, so agent location, your user agent location, blah, 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 right? So they were on Chrome, they were, in Florida, they, it was this time of day, this was their IP address, that kind of stuff, but not, and now you've gone over to this other site and we know you went over there too.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. You can still do some of that, but it would be based on IP address and it would be pretty coarse information.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm still working out that kind of thing. Related to that, so the gold sponsors and the platinum sponsors on devchat.tv shows, they love them. I mean, occasionally they drop off, but for the most part, they love it. They want to stick with it. Blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
I can't seem to hold on to silver sponsors. It's just not converting well enough at the end of the show, and I'm trying to decide if it's the spot I have them in. I moved them before the picks, and that seemed to help a little bit, but not enough. And I'm wondering if it's the messaging, or if it's the product being sponsored, or if it's just at the end of the show.
It's the end of the show.
Or if there's something else that I can do to kind of increase that engagement.
What's the difference? Where does silver show up, or what's the difference between silver and the other tiers?
So the top two tiers show up at the beginning of the show. So
that's funny because Pat Flynn just was talking about how on his last episode of the podcast on how like everyone wants to be at the front of the show, but he insisted that the sponsorships happen at the end, and he said that it turns out actually better because people are actually engaged in listening. Like people have finished listening, so they will go take action. Or at the beginning of the show, they just want to get to the show, and they don't have any motivation to go and do the thing, do some other activity.
Has he tracked that, or?
Well, he doesn't have he never did pre-rolls, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's all post-rolls, but.
I mean, I have a very hard time buying that, honestly. Like, I cannot imagine. Like, okay, just think about it. If you were watching, your favorite TV show.
Yeah.
And the commercials were all grouped at the end, what would you do?
Well, in the middle is one thing, but and it also depends on what.
How many how many previews would you watch at the movies if they were all at the end?
Well, but see, those things are okay. So TV commercials and that form of advertising is designed to build brand recognition, not to convert.
I mean, there are direct response TV commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but those
they work really well.
Yeah, but those are shown at a certain time of day usually, right?
Well, with the podcast, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. We're not getting people when they're in front of their computer to click on stuff, right? They're driving to work or mowing the lawn or washing the dishes or whatever.
I would guess. I mean, I don't think people convert from podcasts like very often anyway, but I think,
yes and no, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think like I would guess that the reason why your gold sponsors and platinum sponsors are happy and don't drop off is because they're paying more money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the reason why I say that is because their goal, when you're paying a large amount of money for advertising, your goal is not to convert people. You're not measuring the clicks that you get, and you're not measuring how many people convert from that code. What you're doing at that point is you're trying to build brand recognition, and you have a big advertising budget, and you're like, I'm happy. Hell, you're giving me a place to spend my advertising budget. I'm able to tell my boss that I'm reaching 150,000 developers. Awesome, right? Whereas at the silver level, I don't know how much you're charging at the silver level, but it's probably to the point where it's more like us if we were advertising somewhere where we'd be like, hey, I need to sell like X number of products in order to pay this thing, and it's just it's more difficult there because it takes more time and it may not pay off, and you can't track it as well because you don't even know like if it's being effective, because a lot of times what happens is someone hears something 3 or 4 places and it's like the 4th place, or something comes in their head to go to the website and they don't actually, so it's hard to attribute it. So that would be my guess at it, but
I think it depends on the sponsor. So some of them track very closely where people are coming from. The other thing though is that unless they're clicking through the banner on the website or use the coupon code, there's no way to know they came from Rogues, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So and anyway, it makes it really interesting. But yeah, I mean, all of my gold sponsors, I emailed them and I was like, all right, let's renew, and they all renewed except one, and they said, yeah, we're going to take the budget we were spending on you, we're going to spend it somewhere else through the end of the year, and then we want to come back.
Yep.
And, and I said, that's fine, but if I fill that spot and whoever fills it wants to keep that spot, they get to keep that spot.
Well, there you go. There's your perfect answer now is to say, hey, you can sponsor Simple Programmer or Sublime Text or whoever else you get for that quarter, and then you can. And then I can't promise you that you'll be on Ruby Rogues coming back, but you can have whatever else is open.
But my understanding, like Hired.com, they have the platinum sponsor on every show except for JavaScript Jabber. And to be honest, every time I talk to Mark Grabansky from Front End Masters, he's like, I am not giving up that spot. It is my spot. But and every time I talk to Hired.com, the guy I talked to over there, Lenny, he's always like, yeah, we just need to get that platinum spot on JavaScript Jabber, and I'm always telling him, I just don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, I like the idea of being able to rotate them through and stuff like that. Yeah, I just it's
what if you opened up some of the sponsorships to bidding, like Google AdWords?
That might be interesting. Another option that I thought about is offering them to the gold and platinum sponsors as kind of and remember to go check out Hired.com, and if you're looking for a job. Or I've also had several people coming to me and saying, I want I want to sponsor the show because we're trying to hire people and we're trying to get the word out. And those sponsorships, for a quarter, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and at the price that I'm asking, it doesn't make a ton of sense. But I have thought about doing something like what Top Ruby Jobs does, toprubijobs.com, where you pay $200 and you get listed on their job listing website. You get added to the ad roll on the website, and you get a mention during the month that you purchased on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so if you listen to it every month, they're like, this is sponsored by Top Ruby Jobs, blah, 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 blah. And it's either, you can list a job if you're looking for people, or it's such and such a company is looking for this kind of person, and such a company is looking for this kind of person, and they usually have 2 or 3 in there that they just read through real quick. So I've thought about filling that spot with that, or offering it up to, like I said, the gold sponsors. But yeah, I tend to lose people if they just do a silver sponsor. And even moving them up before the picks hasn't. It changed the conversion rate on them, but as far as like people clicking and checking it out, but not enough. So I don't know.
You could also offer the silver spots to the platinum sponsors. Like you can, if you pay for this spot, then you don't. Then there's less competition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or you
just
could
buy
offer
out
it as
the ads.
an upsell.
Well,
Platinum Plus.
Platinum Plus and Gold Plus.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 spots that I do at the end of the show. So, yeah, definitely worth thinking about. But
That would probably be more effective, especially for the platinum people. You get it would be less advertisers on an individual show, which means that the person listening gets more exposure to the
Right.
one brand. So if you have the Platinum Plus, you get the very first and the very last mention. That's going to be pretty killer right there.
Let's call it Platinum Pro.
There you go.
Gold
Yeah.
Pro.
nice.
You don't want regular gold, man.
Rose gold.
Regular gold is for losers.
Rose Gold.
Yeah, there you go.
Which all the people who got the 6 Plus all said, it's pink.
Yep.
I didn't want pink. I wanted Rose
Nope.
Gold.
No kidding.
Yeah. But I did send out the sponsorship invoices, and that is coming out to basically, it's not quite enough to pay all of my expenses for the next 3 months after I pay Mandy, but it's kind of close. So yeah, I'm kind of picking up a few other things to make that happen. I sent an email out to all of my email subscribers reminding them about Angular Remote Conf, and that's brought in. I had like $300 in sales within an hour.
Nice.
And yeah, that's bringing in a few $100s every day, which is nice. And I'm looking. I've actually launched the website now for Rails Remote Conf, so I'm working that out. So we'll be doing that at the beginning of November. But yeah, I'm trying to decide. I've also so basically with the sponsorship stuff, I'm trying to decide if I want to do kind of a job board thing, or if I want to do the Offer Plus. I might just do the Offer Plus thing since I already have everything set up for that.
Yeah.
Because the job board would be a whole bunch of extra work to add it to.
Yeah,
TV.
you're chasing at that point. You're chasing more, a bunch of little ticket sales instead of
And then you'll
upping the value of the bigger ones.
You'll also be competing with your platinum sponsor then, which is they might not like that because if they're it's not going to be much competition, but if someone can find the job on your site and not have to go to hired.com, that I don't know, they might not like it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Since you do have a jobs board as like one of your.
Yeah, they do things a little bit differently, and I don't know if it would bother them or not. I kind of doubt it, but I'm not 100% sure.
But anyway,
get monster.com.
Yeah.
Get what?
Just go after monster.com.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, if you want to talk about this though, even I would just say if you let's figure something out. If you want to try and find, I don't know if you want to see, I can give you all of my properties, to give you a list of what I have and what spots are available, and then you can see what you can do with it.
Sounds good to me.
Make me an offer, and yeah.
Oh, I've just been doing because I've talked to Josh and I've talked to a few other people, and what I've asked everybody for is 30%, and they all seem pretty comfortable with that. So.
Oh yeah, 30% is fine. I mean, make me an offer of what you can, what can you sell the sponsorship spot for? That's the question. So. Yeah,
and that's going to take a little bit of trial and error too, because the ones that I've sold the most are, I'm gonna do a pre-roll or post-roll on the podcast plus put you on the website. So.
Okay. Yeah.
So we may be able to put some packages together like that or something.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been talking to different, I keep getting these emails from, I just got an email from Treehouse and then one from Code School, and they wanted, but I send them what I have, and then I don't hear back from them, or they're like, oh, I got to think about it. So I don't know if I'm pricing too high or it's just a numbers game, but occasionally I've been getting people but I still haven't gotten any real sales on the the advertising packages yet.
Yeah, let's talk later and we'll see what we can figure out. But
Okay.
yeah, it seems like I already have the connections, and it wouldn't be that much more work for me to reach out to them and see what we can make happen. And then that saves everybody else a bunch of time and effort.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it because also, since they're used to dealing with me, I may be able to get a little bit higher conversion and price. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I think I've got probably about $5K a month worth of ad space that is not being utilized right now. Like, I think that's about the value there. So that could be good for both of us.
Yep. Sounds good. Yep. Yeah. The only other thing I have going on besides the conferences, and that's just grinding through it, and I'm making that more and more systemized, so I don't have to do as much of the work. Is Rails clips. I've gotten behind on video recording, and I'm trying to figure out where where to fit that into my week. It's just been rough with everything else going on.
Can you record 2 minutes a day? I've been doing that, the 100 to 250 words a day on my book thing. And that would be tough to do with video.
Yeah, that's hard to do with video.
You need to block off more time.
That's a great idea for your book, though, because that's really going to push it along.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I actually listened to a non-technical book. I listened to The Martian. It was really, really good.
So good.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching the movie when it comes out.
Is that a new book or?
No, it's been out for a while.
Okay. Yeah, it started out on this guy's blog. He's a software developer.
Oh, okay.
And he wrote like blog posts about this guy stranded on Mars. But he researched it and came up with all the science and physics behind it. It's all very realistic, and it's a pretty interesting story.
You seriously
it sounds
haven't
like a
heard about this
technical
yet?
book. What's that?
You really haven't heard about this yet, Josh?
No, I haven't.
It's a movie now starring Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I have. I think I've seen stuff about that. I just didn't know that it started from. I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but it's on my short list of things to read. I hear nothing but amazing things about that book. It's supposed to be just incredibly well written and really fun to read.
Yeah, it's really good.
I thought I heard the movie was not good. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
It only gets out, so.
The movie's not out yet, October 2nd, so.
But I saw a interview clip with Matt Damon where they were talking about the experiments that he does in the movie, which most of them are from the book, and they asked, so did you do all of those experiments for real? And he's like, well, yeah. I mean, we have all these great shots of potato plants growing at different stages and we're in a sound studio getting these shots. So what are you going to do other than plant potatoes and actually do all of these experiments in order to make it look real, because it is real. So it just the more and more I hear about this and read about it and see it, the more interested I am. It looks like it's going to be a really good movie, and the book sounds like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any tips on getting more time? I mean, the only other thing I can think of is to cancel stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you in terms of having to make time to record, and it really is. I have to make time for this.
Yeah.
The thing that I found that I can do that helps is I can block off half an hour Monday morning or an hour Monday morning and practice. I can sit down and figure out what this episode is going to be and how it's going to work and do all the things related to that. And then later, Wednesday afternoon, Friday afternoon, whatever, block off another hour to sit down and record that episode. Yeah. So there are ways that you can break up the amount of time that you need in a given block, but when it comes to actually sitting down to do the recording, I mean, there's no easy way to cheat around sitting down and having a chunk of time.
Now there is one thing. Like when I was doing the most recording that I was doing, I mean, some activities require context switching and setup, and recording is one of those. So I would sit down and record for like 4 hours at a time.
That's never really possible for me.
Well, I mean,
there's so much prep work involved in getting the code at the right point and understanding what I'm going to be doing for the next hour of recording. If I were to sit down and record for 4 hours, I would be at my recording station for 8 hours that day.
Yeah, that's why I said 4 hours, because I spent a day recording.
Yeah,
I guess that is possible. I mean, I can't necessarily sit down and record for 2 minutes, but I can massage the code or massage the script that I'm going to work off of, or whatever.
Do some research, figure it out. Little bits. 10 or 15 minutes is often enough just to go refresh your mind on the API that you're going to be recording tomorrow afternoon.
Well, see, and that's so I think that's a great strategy for writing. I don't think it's a good strategy for this kind of thing, because I think that the context switch is going to kill you. Like, you're going to just wait. Like, this is a thing that goes for batching. Like, batch process benefits here. For writing, for doing something small, it doesn't, where you can piece it and you can just add on to it, it makes sense. But, like, I would totally dedicate a day to just doing this, or some huge block of time, and batch it up as much as possible, because then you're going to get a much more efficiency out of the whole process.
Yeah, I wonder if I could do that. I'll have to look at my schedule and see what things look like, but yeah, I am wondering if I could just like clear off Mondays or something.
Yeah.
And then just make Monday Rails Clips Day.
I'm about ready to make Monday mornings Watch Me Code, like all Monday morning. It's going to be nothing but writing the code and recording Monday mornings for exactly the reason John said. But I mean, with my crazy schedule that I've had recently, I've had to do the piecemeal stuff. Sit down for half an hour and plan out the code, and then the next day sit down for an hour and record it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really had a choice, and it's worked okay. It's just been incredibly stressful.
Yep. So
one might wonder if you could spread the planning out too.
That's what I was. That was what I was trying to say originally. Was
spread the plan. So
if I have 15 minutes, I can go read a blog post, or like I said, massage the code or something. But
you could set yourself up so that you over 2 or 3 weeks you have everything you need. Kind of that's what I did with my book, actually, with my Writing Sublime Plugins book, because I was having a similar situation where I had to do the research to write, and I was trying to do research write every day, and it was killing me.
Yeah.
So I just blew through and researched and outlined the whole thing all the way from start to finish, and then I just went through and wrote the whole thing. And I wrote the whole thing in like 30 days.
And that's batching on both sides, and that's why it's more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in the case of the videos, I could do prep for all but recording the 2 videos I want to release every week, and then just be so I could be prepared a few weeks out, and then just come back and refresh and record, and then just record 4, 5, 6 videos in a week or 2 or 3. And so I'm playing catch up right now, but in a couple of weeks I'll have enough batched up to just blitz it.
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've also been looking at what to cancel. I was listening to, I think it was Entrepreneur on Fire, and he was talking to somebody who was talking about how they look at their business, and they said basically, if I were going to sell this business, what would I do? Or if somebody else was going to buy this business, what would they cut? And I looked at all the stuff I'm doing, and I realized that I've been doing Freelancer Show now for 3.5 years, and I've been doing iPhreaks for 2 years. or 2.5 years. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the issue is that iFreaks has never paid for itself, and a freelancer show at this point barely breaks even.
Dang, that's such a good show, though.
I know.
That's my favorite one. But yeah, but no, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm really struggling with this because I keep. Do you ever feel like you keep getting the message that you are supposed to do something and you just don't want to do it? Like I don't want to kill those shows, and I just signed Hired.com up as the platinum sponsor on those shows for another 3 months. So I'm not going to kill them right away just because I feel like I have a financial obligation there. But I'm seriously considering, killing them.
Well, here's the thing, though. You got a platinum sponsor for let's say iFreaks, because iFreaks is the worst performing one, right?
That's not paying for the.
Well, it's not quite paying for what it costs to edit it.
Yeah, but
transcripts and stuff.
What does the platinum sponsor pay for, like iFreaks sponsorship? Around.
I don't remember. I'd have to go look.
But I mean,
it might be breaking even now because I did raise the sponsorship rate. But when I was looking at the,
I'm guessing it's a few $1,000s, right? Like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, it would be. Let's see. So it cost about $900, give or take, for me to produce a month's worth of podcasts. So, yeah, that sponsorship would have to bring in about $3,000 for the quarter in order for the show to break even.
Right. So, I guess what I'm saying is, well, because I was going to suggest that you reduce the cost that it costs you to produce the show, which I think you probably can. But if it's only costing you $900 a month to produce the show, it doesn't seem like it's very hard for the, like, if it's paying for itself, if we're only paying for itself, like it still grows, right? The audience grows.
Yes.
So eventually it'll become more profitable, and if it doesn't require work from you, perhaps the thing to do is to remove yourself from the panel.
I've thought about doing that as well.
Because, and I mean, no offense, but you don't even really probably have a whole lot to, like, that's not your main area of contribution, right? Like,
no,
you're not an iOS developer, so it's like it's not going to hurt the show, is what I'm saying.
Ruby, iOS,
I mean, your comedy, like your personality in comedy, like people will sorely miss it and probably unsubscribe immediately. But after they get over it and stop crying and come back to the show, then then it all will be fine. But rather than cutting the show, like if you're like oh the show cost me $2,000 a month to produce and I get $500 a month in sponsorship, then I'd be like, yeah, just cut the show. But the fact that if you're floating or breaking even and it's not costing you any time, then I don't know. To me, I would keep this thing and just minimize your involvement and see if you can lower production costs a little bit for that particular show.
The other issue with iFreaks, though, is that on the weeks that I don't show up, because I've done that a few times, probably 1 in 2 or 1 in 3 of those weeks, they don't record.
So you've got to get someone.
I've got to get somebody in there to to spearhead it if I'm going to back out. I have thought about that. Freelancer show, I'm actually discussing sponsorship with another company. They may pick up the gold sponsor, and then I'll actually be bringing in enough to actually offset most of the time and effort that I'm putting into it.
That's really interesting. So the freelancer show, that audience, even though it's small, is actually probably really valuable.
Yes, I keep thinking that, but it's not super targeted.
It's not valuable to direct advertising.
And so it's hard to,
Yeah.
So the company I'm talking to is FreshBooks.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But where did Derek?
He had to go. No. Yeah, he had to go. He's being exterminated, apparently.
Exterminate. Anyway.
Yeah, so like I've said this before, but like most of the people that have actually made the the 30 by 500 product model work have been targeting an audience like freelancers.
Yeah.
So there's something there.
Well, those people, more than I think any of the other audiences, if they see a product and they see the value in it, they hesitate a whole lot less to buy it.
Right.
That's where this. If you want to monetize Freelancer Show, I'll tell you what you need to do. It's not sponsorship. It's going to be creating a product you're selling to freelancer for $500 a pop that listen to that show.
Or making a deal with Brennan Dunn to sell his product or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some kind of Freelancer Show exclusive version of that, or.
Yep. That would totally. Yeah, that's a perfect. Like, you just get some kind of affiliate 50%. And you add some kind of thing to make it freelancer specific, or for your show, or something like that.
Right.
And because that could. I mean, that's where you're going to make money from those.
Yeah. Yep. And then the iOS one, that's just interesting to me. I wonder if iOS developers are just not people that would listen to a podcast. I could see that maybe, because there's definitely seems to be a larger contingent of them. In the .NET world, you kind of have a lot of the 9-to-5ers. And I kind of get the sense that iOS is just so huge that there's more of that going on.
There are a few things that are going on there. One of the things is that it seems like the communities that are out there, like Ruby and JavaScript and Angular, they all kind of have their rock stars. And so, I mean, I've been able to grow the shows by either having the rock stars on the panel or by getting them to come on the show.
Yeah.
Right. With iOS, all of the rock stars are the Apple engineers, and they can't talk to us.
Oh, interesting.
So that's part of the issue. We did have Ray Wenderlich come on and talk about his stuff, and that probably helped us a little bit. But
would he be a panelist ever?
They have their own podcast.
Oh, okay.
And it's they have their instructors on their panel talking about this stuff. And I'm sure that their podcast is larger than iPhreaks, which doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference one way or the other, really.
Yeah.
But, and we do have some pretty loyal fans to the show, so I'm not sure exactly how to make that pay off. I've thought about doing an iOS remote conf, but the issue is that I'm used to dealing with the larger audiences from my other shows to get the word out, and I'm not sure that it'll pay off.
Yeah, although one difference is that in most of those cases you have the biggest podcast out there. In this case, there are other bigger podcasts that you could maybe tap.
That's true.
So, yeah. But yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know if there are a lot of what Scott Hanselman calls dark matter developers in iOS.
I get the sense that there are.
It also seems like a lot of people who need apps written offshore it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like I said, it's close enough at this point where I don't know. I think if you can remove yourself from it, get it automated. I mean, and like you said, if you're approaching it from the process of, let's say that I were, from an outside perspective, buying your business and deciding how to make it more efficient, I think I would cut the production costs of producing. If it's $900 a month, I would say, can we make that $500 a month, to produce a podcast? Because that immediately makes everything more profitable.
But
multiply that across, and then I would say, can we increase sponsorship rates? Can we do, and can we remove expensive and producing a podcast, right? If it costs you 4 hours a month to produce iPhreaks or more, right? It's probably 6 hours of your time, I would guess. Then and you're a resource that's over $100 an hour, right? So it actually does. So the quick thing is to move you off of it, would be the easiest. So.
Well, and it's the time more than the money that I really.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But the other thing that's interesting is that, well, so you said, the production cost, but the only way to cut the production cost in half like that is to get somebody else to edit it.
Well, you got to get, I mean, you can get, I mean, we've talked a little bit before, but I think you have to eventually separate your process out so that you've got one person organizing the show, getting the people on the call, one person, a separate person doing separate job role of editing the podcast, a separate one of transcribing, and so that you can have these things be one person who can do all of those things or coordinate it all is expensive. Having each individual role is cheap. So because these things are not super. I mean, it does get to a point though. To play the devil's advocate for my own thing is if you grow large enough, then the production cost being $500 a month versus $900 a month doesn't matter because once your sponsorships, if a podcast was bringing in let's say $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month sponsorship, who the hell cares what it costs to produce it? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So but it's all stuff. These are all things that I've thought of. So. Yeah, and I've also thought about reorganizing the roles in the company, like you said, and basically having because the audio editing is at this point almost a commodity. Like I can find other people that will do a good job editing the audio.
Yeah.
I really like how Mandy does the show notes, and I'm not as sure on that as that I can find somebody that will do as good a job. But that would free her up to do some of the other things that I want her to be doing.
Yep.
So, I keep going back and forth on that. And then, just some of these other roles. The transcription is all through Odesk, so that's already split off into its own thing. And Mandy just drops it in Dropbox, and then these people pick it up. They send it back to her, and she just puts it into devchat.tv, and it's done. So and there are probably ways I could automate that some more, but at this point, it's a copy and paste. It's like 5 minutes of somebody's time as opposed to, so then it just comes down to whose time and how much is it costing me. But I've seriously considered that where, I say, look, I don't need you to edit the audio. I'm going to have so and so do it. We'll make it a system so that they know exactly what we want. And then I'd like you to focus more on these other areas in my business.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. It'd be interesting too. Like another thing that would help you, I think, is if you had a commission-based person who was getting advertisers.
I've thought about doing that too.
Because then you could possibly get higher rates, and you have if someone's job is to basically go and find the right sponsors, they could probably do fairly. But I think that is tied to your idea of expanding out to handling advertising sponsorship for other people as well. Because once you do that, then you could justify having a person that solely goes out and does that stuff.
Yeah, the issue that I struggle with that a little bit is that I personally have these relationships right now, and so I would have to figure some of that out. And I think some of the sponsors would be fine working with whoever, as long as we're delivering the value, and I think some people would be unhappy.
Well, I think what happens is this is a pretty common problem actually. Most companies have a president or CEO or founder or something who was, kind of charismatic, is the guy that has all the relationships.
Yeah.
And they've got, I think Chuck might have frozen. He's got kind of a Louis C.K. expression on his face right now, too. It's kind of funny. So, since what I was saying was directed at him, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to continue. But, basically, I think that his role becomes the guy he's the glue that holds the deals together, and somebody else is doing a lot of the legwork.
Yeah. Yep. I totally.
And like you fly like with a lot of companies, or bigger deals, like the president will fly in. It's like the last step, and you shake hands and sign the deal, and it's done.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's who Chuck can still become, is that person.
Yes. Yeah.
But just at the end instead of
and maybe a little bit on the front end too, to just kind of establish the relationship and win trust and that sort of thing, and then let somebody else handle a lot of the dirty work.
He's his computer must have froze or something.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Gone. And actually, it's funny. Like he actually, his picture just dropped off the bottom of the screen too. It was very, very dramatic.
Man, your emails are getting so good, Josh. It's crazy. Like, I don't know where you're coming up with all these ideas for these emails.
It's actually really easy. I've got a spreadsheet right now with like 20 or 30 different ideas. Like people reply to them, which gives me more ideas. And since I've got my antenna up, actually, like I was listening to John Fancher, Perry's guy, talking about the daily email thing, and he was like, it's like once you commit to it, then like you never run out of ideas. Like basically the commitment.
Yeah, force it. Yeah.
It's kind of the key. So it's been going well. I've done 2 weeks of this so far. I think I'm going to just keep it up. I'm definitely I kind of committed to do it for at least a month.
Yeah.
And I've been posting them on LinkedIn as well, just as an experiment. And I'm getting about averages about like 25 or 30 views per post, which isn't a lot. But as I connect with more and more marketing people on LinkedIn, those will be pretty targeted. They're like going to be marketing directors, and to get my name in front of 150 marketing directors every week, that's pretty valuable. I wouldn't get that. Like if I'd need probably 100,000 page views a month, like you get on your blog, before I'd be seeing that kind of thing from my website.
Yeah.
So. So that's working pretty well. I'm picking up LinkedIn subscribers and followers pretty. I've picked up like probably around 150 since I started this. So I'm up to like 720 or something like that.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's so a couple I've actually found. So this week I connected. So I'm going after the Infusionsoft market. There's Chuck. Back, Chuck? So I'm going after the Infusionsoft market pretty aggressively here, and it's been so far it's been going well. Like I've been talking to several people. I've talked to several people who are like, yes, this is exactly we've been looking for somebody like you. It's really hard to find. So there's one guy George, who found me through LinkedIn. He saw one of my posts on LinkedIn, and then he sent me a connection request, and then we ended up talking. And he is now on my email list, and he's been loving my emails. He replied to the one that I sent out today about pricing, and he was like, "This is great." So actually, what I'm doing is I'm actually writing my emails. I'm not writing my emails specifically for the audience that I have right now on my list. Right. Which is mostly people who signed up for my King Sumo stuff. And, they are mostly small-time bloggers who are like, have dreams of someday quitting their job, and maybe they're working on an ebook or something.
Okay.
They can't afford to hire me. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of actually targeting my emails at the types of things that Infusionsoft consultants are saying to their customers.
Oh, I see.
So I'm actually technically my real audience is actually Infusionsoft developers or Infusionsoft consultants, and I'm trying to like show them that I understand, their world a little bit, and kind of like echoing the things that they're saying, and that seems to be working really well. So I need to just keep connecting with people on LinkedIn, and so I've actually found out. So this week I found there's a podcast actually. Now there's two of Chuck. There we go. So there's a podcast for Infusionsoft consultants called Infusioncast, I think. And the guy who, one of the guys on my list, his name's Tony. He's a coach. He knows the guy who runs this podcast, and so he's like, I got to connect you with Josh, the guy that runs this other podcast.
Oh, okay.
And so he introduces us, and then Josh replies and says, "Oh, hey, I already know you." Yeah, from your he saw my King Sumo thing on the Email 1K course, the email course that Noah had me write for. So he saw me on that. And I don't know if I'm not sure if he's actually on my email list or not, but he knows me, and so we're gonna connect, and I might be going on his podcast pretty soon.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, so I didn't realize this, but Naomi Dunford from IddyBiz is also on my list. So I've got
really?
she emailed me the other day. She liked one of my comments, and she emailed me about it. So yeah, I've got there's actually 5 or 10 people on my list now that I know of that are, paying attention, that are pretty well positioned to help me out with the stuff that I'm doing. So I'm gonna keep it up. And yeah, I'm almost actually kind of growing the list manually at this point. If I could get 50 or 100 Infusionsoft consultants on there, I'd be golden. That would be all I need.
Yep.
So I could have a list of 100, and that would feed me.
That's true. So that is actually, so you could actually grow it one at a time essentially, and still be fine, because within a year or so you'll have plenty.
So I actually, there's a guy I've been talking to. Actually, I met this guy on Perry's list. He's a consultant out of the UK, and I referred Raygun to him, and he's helping them with their AdWords now.
Okay.
I didn't realize this, but he just also got his Infusionsoft partnership.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So he's a copywriter as well, but he's over there. He's talking to them. He's talking to the Infusionsoft people, and they're basically scheming. In the last week, they started talking about how there needs to be more copywriters that are available to help Infusionsoft consultants, because Infusionsoft has done a really good job of growing its user base through affiliate marketing. So they've got all these partners, and the partners are basically affiliates.
Right.
So you pay Infusionsoft $2,000 to become a partner, and then $1,000 a year, and then you sell their software for them.
Right.
It's a great system that they've got. But what happens is the partners sell the licenses, and then they do the little training program with the people that they recruit, and then they're like, all right, have a nice life.
Yeah, exactly.
And they have the most complicated CRM. So this guy Rob, he wants to be the guy that comes in and picks up the pieces.
Okay.
And so the other guys onboard people, do the training, and then he comes in and does the ongoing work with them after that. And that would be where somebody like me would come in, because now they've got, they're trained, they've got maybe 1 or 2 campaigns set up, but they've got all this other stuff that they need. So Rob and I are considering figuring out a way to partner up on that. And so I'm also in the process of putting together a direct mail campaign to go after the Infusionsoft consultants here in the U.S.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a list of several hundred of them that I've put together, and I wrote a letter. I'm going to be sending that out. It's going to take a while, because you have to handwrite. If you really want your letter to get opened, you have to handwrite the address.
Yeah, I see.
Because that way it looks like a personal letter. So there's Chuck. Now we're on the phone.
Yes.
Pay someone to handwrite addresses too. So.
Yeah, I could do that. There's actually a couple of companies that will do it for you if you need to scale it up a little more.
Yeah.
So, but for right now, I'm just going to do 20 a day maybe.
Yeah.
Because I've only got a couple hundred. And then I think what I'll do is once I'm going to do an initial sales letter to just sort of try to jumpstart a little business here, and then I'm going to just start dripping out. I think I'm actually going to do a monthly print newsletter that will probably be 4 pages, and it'll be maybe something from my emails that I've done where I just like expand on a couple of the emails, and then I'll send that out every month for free to the Infusionsoft consultants, and then that'll keep me in front of them. So exactly. I think if I do that, I can basically drive traffic to my email list from print, and it's such a small targeted group that I don't need a lot of people to convert.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good strategy, and then you stay in front of them. So, like as they keep on getting business, pretty soon you should be able to fill your pipeline.
Yeah, I can't add all. I'd like to add all of them to my daily emails, but
yeah,
I'd get court-martialed. So so I'm working on that. I decided to go ahead. I'm hiring. I hired my coach Lori from the Simple Writing System program that I did over the summer to coach me full-time, or not full-time, but to coach me ongoing, just to help me get, because I don't have this business, I don't have a business process at all. It's just really helter-skelter right now. Yeah. And so I'm gonna. She's got a pretty good system where she's got like an intake process that's consistent for everybody. So I'm gonna basically, hire her and then steal her system and just drop it in to my business. Because that's really tough. It's like I'm every time I get a lead, I'm starting from scratch with them and like never sure what to offer, and it's just kind of a mess. So basically just gonna have her hold my hand. I'm right now actually what tipped the scales for me was. I got a lead, so I went to the local Dan Kennedy group. There's one that meets here in Pittsburgh, and the organizer her name is Becky, and she actually knows Dan Kennedy. Like the one meeting that I've been to so far, she was late because she was at Dan Kennedy's house recording a session with him, like a live cast type of deal.
Oh wow!
And so she like breezed in at the end of the meeting. I didn't even get to meet her there. But I sent her a follow-up email, and I just introduced myself, and she's like, "Oh yeah." I didn't hear back from her for like 3 weeks, and then like a week and a half ago, she emails me. She's like, "Oh, it's great to have you in the group, and I might want to use you for a project coming up." I was like, "Okay." So then 2 days later, her business partner Tracy emails me, and he's like, "I'd like to meet with you." So I met with this guy on Wednesday, and this guy has a picture of him standing on some huge. He's like basically a licenser. Like he licenses and patents ideas.
Okay, yeah.
And he's got a picture of him standing on one of the machines that he licensed with this billionaire investor next to him, and then Tony Robbins on the other side.
Nice.
Like Tony heard about this invention and like had to see it.
Wow.
So this guy is pretty. He's been around forever. He's been doing this for like 40 years, and he's really well connected. Like he actually knew Gary Halbert, like not well, but he knew him. He has one of the original copies of the boron letters.
Wow.
Gary wrote those by hand in prison. He was in prison.
Yeah.
And he wrote them by hand on a legal pad, and then the first copies that he sold were just like photocopies of the legal pad stapled together.
Yeah.
That's this guy has one of those.
Wow.
Oh wow.
People paid like, I think he sold them for like several $100s too. Like they were low production value on that. But so he knows Dan Kennedy. This guy. He's starting a business where it's. I'm not going to really go into it because it's really complicated. But basically, he's able to help people license ideas and then put all the money into Roth IRAs, so they're not paying taxes, or not paying as much tax on it as they otherwise would be. So it looks like a really, really promising. I mean, this business to me looks like something that could be, for me personally, like 6 figures in copywriting income, and a multi-million-dollar business within a couple of years for him. So
wow.
So anyway, so I hired. I'm like, Lori, I don't want to screw this up.
Yeah.
So I hired her on to help me, like basically kind of walk me through the whole process with this guy and make sure I don't lose this deal, because I think it would be seems like it's really promising. And I'm here. Like, my biggest advantage is that I'm physically here. I met the guy. I shook his hand. We talked for almost 2 hours. So I've got some field advantage on it. I want to make sure that I am able to land it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely like the daily emails thing. I'm liking it. I have gotten. I didn't get any. I sent you guys that email about the product idea that I floated to a couple people on my list. I haven't heard back from them yet, so we'll see if they bite on that. But yeah, I think there's going to be like I need to have a system. I need to have several things. Like I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot of copywriting business from my list. But I think I'm approaching it as like a daily demonstration of my skills, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's like a resume that comes out every day kind of thing.
Yeah, no, and you can always repurpose it too, like so as you build up more of the clients that you need on your list. So.
Yep. Yeah, and it's fun. Like this morning I was a little discouraged, so I saw that email coming from that guy, and I was like,
yeah,
totally using this for an email. So it's apparently, I haven't looked yet, but on LinkedIn I've got a bunch of comments, so I think I stirred the hornet's nest. There are some people that were kind of irate about it. So.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, I guess we should probably wrap it up here. It feels weird for it to only be like 2 PM for me.
Oh yeah. John's like, I got another 4 or 5 hours in me here.
I'm still jet lagged. Like I shouldn't be after almost a week, but.
Yeah, well, you must be getting old.
Yep, that's it.
Sorry I missed all of your talking, Josh. My internet just totally fell on the floor and thrashed around for a minute.
It's perfectly fine.
All right. Well, should we do our thoughts for the day then?
Yeah.
I usually have something. I don't have anything today.
I think mine's going to be get help. Like, I just pay for help. It's worth it. I am... I'm not really excited about how much I'm paying Lori to help coach me right now, but it's going to save me a lot of heartache and probably cut years of trial and error off of my learning curve, so it's worth it.
Mine would be get rid of your shit. You don't need all this stuff that you...
John, you've still got a desk there, my friend.
I know.
That looks pretty expendable.
I don't really need that big desk, but... No, there's a lot of stuff, like, after doing this trip and stuff, like, I'm like, man, like, because I was already somewhat of a minimalist, but I went back through my closet, I was looking through my stuff, and I'm like, I don't need this, like, what do I need this for, like, and there's so much of that stuff, and it feels so good to get rid of stuff, because, it makes it decreases this mental burden that you have for all the stuff you have. Yeah. There's, like, a place, not only in your home, but in your head, for it, and when you clear out your head, you feel a lot more free. So yeah, get rid of junk that you don't need. Even digital stuff, like stop copying movies and all this. Like, just it's a waste of time. Like, you're never gonna read a book twice or a movie twice. If you do, then just buy it a second time because it's worth it. Like, don't we spend a lot of time trying to someone linked to this YouTube video of was it George Carlin talking about stuff, and it was just hilarious because when you think about he's like, houses are just places to put your stuff. They're like big containers with a lid on. The roof is like a lid, and so yeah, it's actually pretty freeing to get rid of stuff. So. Nothing, Chuck?
I think what I'm going to go with is, so I've kind of had the opportunity to talk to a lot of folks. I've been talking about the 15-minute calls I've been doing, and really and I probably said this before, I'm going to say it again and again and again and again, but basically people matter. People are going to make the decisions that make an impact, whether that's to buy your stuff, whether that's to Get involved with it, whatever you're putting out there. I mean, that's the more people you can impact, the more power you really have.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be successful, it means giving enough people what they want. And if you want to be, if you're thinking that if I just play the game the right way or, schmooze my way through things, I mean, that might work for a while, but eventually it's going to blow up in your face. But if you're really taking care of people, giving them what they want, and doing the right things, then it makes a difference. And just getting to know people, even for just 15 minutes, that consume podcasts that I put out every week has been extremely valuable for me in quantifying who they are and what they're about and what I'm doing that really makes an impact.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
Cool. All right. Well, see you guys next time.
Alrighty.
All right. Take care. Yeah.
Bye.